Here we go. What's up, baby? Man Talk Monday. Y'all ready? All right, let's get it. Fathers, they important to a kid. Welcome to Man Talk Monday. It's your boy Derek Smith, thought engineer, rocking it with my partner, Mr. John Big Yogi Lewis in the house.
What's going on, sir?
Doing good, man. How about you? How's it going?
Oh man, trying to get this spring body back.
The frame body, we in summer, man.
I'll just say it. Woo. Take a little longer than I thought it was gonna take, man. Take a little bit longer.
I feel you. I feel you, man. Well, tonight we're talking about dealing with daddy issues.
Daddy issues, boy. Wow.
Dealing with daddy issues. So this is probably one of the biggest things that, and personally, I feel it's impacting society more than anything else. I think everything else that we look at is really symptomatic of a bigger issue, but I think this is more of the root cause stuff that we're dealing with when we talk about daddy issues. And man, it's crazy. I was looking for somebody because for those of y'all who don't know, myself, I didn't grow up in the house with my dad. And John, neither did you, right?
Nope.
Right.
I didn't.
All right. So neither did John. And I was thinking I need to bring somebody on that actually grew up in the house with their father. And it was so hard to think of somebody. It's crazy. It was so hard to think of somebody that actually grew up in the house. They're talking about at least a male, especially a male. Let's try to get a man in here. Thinking of a man that grew up in the house with his dad to come on and just talk with us, man. So go ahead.
Well, it was now. My dad wasn't there, but he whooped me real good when I was little. That kind of lasted me. Yeah, he gave me one of them. Take that with you.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's one of those games.
So we're talking about it tonight. We're talking about dealing with daddy issues because here's the statistics, and this is from 2018. In 2018, 65% of children were living in homes without fathers. 65, and this is for the African American community. 65% of children living in homes without fathers. That's about 3 in 5 kids. 3 in 5 are dealing with coming up in homes without fathers. And so when I think about how hard it was for me to think of somebody who we could bring on with us, another guy who actually grew up in the house with his father, it was hard to even think of that. And so
Nate, we could have called Nate.
We could have called Nate.
We could have called Nate.
Nate's one of our friends. He did grow up with his father. And because what we're trying to see, what's the difference? You know, is there a difference between people who grew up in the home with their fathers and people who didn't grow up in the homes with their fathers? Because I'm of the belief that there's a difference. What you think?
Oh, there's a difference. Because we had to split time between my mom and my dad up until I got to high school. And just the influence my dad had on us when he was in our lives, if they had been together, it would have been much different. I just believe we would have been a lot more disciplined than what we are now. My mom allowed us to, she was, bless her heart, she was trying to find herself while we was trying to find ourselves, and everybody was lost. So it was tough, man. Bro, it was tough. Woo, brother, it was tough.
So this statistics for America in general. The first statistic was about the African American community. 65%, 3 in 5 children grow up in homes without a father. But just based on America at large, 19.7, this is based on 2017 statistics. 19.7 million children living in homes without fathers. 19.7 million. Now, these are the effects that they said fatherlessness actually brings about. They say you're four times greater risk of poverty, 7 times more likely to become pregnant as a teen, 2 times greater risk of infant mortality. I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You got more likely to go to prison, more likely to commit a crime, more likely to face abuse and neglect. So these are some serious social problems that we see happening around us. And they're saying that there's a link between those problems and fatherless homes. So how important is it to even have a daddy in the house?
Well, it's important. No matter how people try to minimize it, the dad is the protector of the house. He makes sure everything goes and runs, and people come and go like they're supposed to. I remember when my daughter was trying to date somebody, and
Mm,
she gonna meet this little old light skinned dude. I I ain't like him anyway because he was light skinned, had good hair. I ain't like him anyway.
pretty
So
Ricky
he
called
was pretty much gone. I couldn't stand him. I already knew I didn't like him.
it. Yeah,
So he gonna come over to the house. He met her on Facebook, so he come over to the house and he gonna take her out. And so he talking to me, and he was saying all of the right things, which bothered me because I'm like, I ain't tripping him up or nothing. So I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I say before y'all leave, we need to pray before y'all go. And
yeah.
everybody, my wife and my daughter were looking like, wait, what we talking about praying?
Right.
So I said, everybody bow your heads and grab your hand. We bow the head. And I say, Lord, please let this young man do what he tell me he gonna do with my daughter. Cause I don't want to go back to jail. I just got out. I don't want to go back. Lord, please, Lord, I don't want to go back to jail. And everybody, my wife was so mad at me. But he took her He took her to get something to eat, and they went to the mall, and he came right back. They're supposed to be like back like at 10:30. They got
Yeah.
back like at 8:30. They were going like an hour and a half or something, and he brought her right back.
Oh wow.
Dude, if you doing what you supposed to do, you ain't
Yeah.
got to rush and do that. But again, a dad being in a home is the dog on the porch barking at everybody, all of the foolishness that comes by, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you got a point, man. And so many people live without that protection. It's something to be said about a two-parent home that brings some stability. And let me just tell y'all, the thing that really sparked this conversation tonight, I don't know if some of you may have seen it. My wife had found the Red Table Talk that Will and Jada did when they were actually on the couch, not at the table. But it was after Father's Day, around Father's Day, and they were talking about Will Smith as a father. And they brought up some very, very interesting things that kind of sparked this whole conversation with us tonight, because they were talking about, Will was talking about his dad and talking about his dad had bought this building and the roof kind of fell in,
Hmm.
and there he told them we gonna fix this. And by the time Christmas came, by themselves, plank by plank, brick by brick, they fixed it. And he was choked up because they actually had a record. He was choked up as he was saying it. But Will said that probably impacted him more than anything in his life in shaping him to be the man he was. So how many of us miss out on lessons like that?
Dads have so much. This is the thing. Dads have a lot to teach us, but I think it's the mom and the dad being together that will allow dad to be that to be that particular person to us. or it's the dad being with the mom that would allow the mom to teach us things. I just think I think they need each other in order to be able to pour into the kids. Because somebody generally takes care of the house and makes sure the house and the homework. Because my wife is house and homework. I don't do no homework. They don't even bring it to me because last time I did homework, the teacher was like, "I'm gonna fail you and your dad if y'all keep on." So we don't do no homework. But hey, we can build stuff together. We can talk. I can pour knowledge into you. I can
Mhm.
help. I can help build you. But again, if my wife wasn't here to do some of the things she do, we first of all you're gonna be failing because daddy don't know what this new math is. And then trying to work and take care of that. That's a lot. That's a lot. And I believe now, and I don't know what type of statistic this is, but I believe the reason why most of us are so messed up sexually is because there was not a guard at the door. There wasn't a guard at the door. It allowed that man to come in or that woman to come in and do something to you
Oh,
that if a dog had been at the door, that wouldn't have happened to you. I
wow. Now
mean,
you bring up a great point because we're not even talking about just that little knucklehead boy in the neighborhood that's keep coming around the house because he see my daughter. We're talking about if the mom is single, what men are she's bringing in, who he's coming in for her, but he has a different agenda. And we
well,
have, we've seen people that, suffered abuse because of that dynamic.
but not only that. Let's leave Slewfoot where he is with Mama.
Uh,
I'm talking about the people that your mama got to leave you with because she's trying to go out and get her life.
oh
So
wow.
mama got to leave you over people's houses that if she was in her right mind, she normally wouldn't do. But she's
Yeah.
trying to go out and find out who she is.
Uh-huh.
So because there is going to be a sacrifice made, and
Right.
in those situations, it's most of the time it's the kids. Either you left around other kids your age and y'all doing stuff you ain't got no business, or they take you over somebody else house that got somebody over there,
Yeah.
and now you know what I'm saying. It's just
And kids need supervision. Brother,
yes.
I know the type of things that I was exposed to because, it was mainly single parent homes where I grew up. And man, we just found all kinds of stuff to get into. And without somebody being there to say, hey boy, y'all don't need to be doing this, or you know what I'm saying, making sure we not, man, there was a whole lot of stuff we got into. And we got introduced to stuff way
Before
sooner
it's
than
time.
we should have because there was not that, that protection there. But if you got a single parent home and say mom, her whole goal is to make sure you have. Well, if her whole goal is to make sure you have, then typically she's gone more.
She have to be. She have to be. She have to be though, don't she? Don't she have to be gone more? Cause she can't do it and be there at the same time, man.
Absolutely. So Selena said men are the standard on which children will measure the men they choose to be in their life or the men they are to become. Wow.
Wow. Yeah. That's. I mean, the,
So without that man, they don't have even a reference, a standard mentally.
I, it's difficult enough to raise kids. Period. Cause I don't know what most of the time when my kids were teenagers, we stopped talking. When they got about 13, when they got teen anything, I couldn't talk to them no more. I would want to choke them out. But
Mm-hmm.
but even in those times, man, you know, I'm there. I'm there. Whether you want to come to me and talk to me about what's going on, your hormones or your what in your head, I was there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most important thing because my son told me the other day, he said, well, the reason why I don't talk to y'all is because y'all always at me or on me about something. And I was like, we'll talk about that part later. But
Yeah.
in the moment, what we're talking about is I need you to do what's asked of you. Now, whether or not you choose to talk to me about it later or whatever, do what we ask you to do. And then if you want to talk, you can come see the sheriff. And
Yeah,
the sheriff will sit down with you, and we'll go over what you how you feel like you have been wronged. You know,
right.
I just think, man, really, I just think I know we need dad in the house. I know we do. Nobody gonna. I'm gonna argue with you down, telling you we don't need dad. Go ahead.
So watching the red table talk between Will and Jada about Will being a dad, probably the most striking thing that stood out to me was the comment they made about the difference between mothers and fathers, or mother's parenting and father's parenting. And they said the difference is mothers want to protect you from suffering, but fathers teach you how to find your strength through suffering. And Will's even said through applied suffering.
There are some lessons that every child needs to go through in order to learn. I'm not gonna do that no more. Or I need to start listening to my parents. And if we always shield them like my wife does a lot of times, they don't get to learn those lessons. Sometimes you got to bump your head, and you got to have a knot on your head like this
Mm-hmm.
in order to remember, oh yeah, this the one that comes from me not doing what my parent told me to do. That's why we get scars and cuts and nicks, because they are there to remind you of what you're supposed to do and what you're not supposed to do.
He was talking about Jayden when they were making the
Hmm.
Karate Kid,
Hmm. Hmm.
and he said that Jayden was they were trying to get him to do splits. They were trying to get him to do all these kinds of things. They had to train him with an actual martial arts master to get him ready. And he said that it got to a point that it was tough. And Jayden said, "Hold up, I got to get this." He said one more time. And he said at that point, he realized, he said he got it.
Hmm.
Will said he got it. That he would make the choice to suffer through for the sake of the achievement than him having to push him. But even in the single parent home, I can't remember of times where my mom really pushed me.
Hmm.
I can't think of a time where she really pushed me, at least past suffering,
Hmm.
to where I went the extra mile, or I did it. Now I made up in my mind sometimes to do it myself because of what I had in front of me and what I was trying to achieve. But understanding suffering to the point to where I make the choice to suffer for the greater good. That's not something I was accustomed to.
I think with us, my mom parented differently. You know, generally your mom is full of affection and hugs and kisses.
Mm.
My mom was out on that. She wasn't having that. I am so serious. She was out on that. She was gonna parent three boys with an iron fist, and whatever nurturing stuff moms are supposed to do, she said, "Nah, I'm gonna get out of that line. I'm finna get in this. I'm gonna be a hammer because I gotta be." So we missed out. We're insensitive to things now because we weren't raised that way. That's not how we were brought up. I remember my brother. They probably gonna kill me for telling the story, but my brother was crying about someone he was younger, and my mom's like, "What you crying for? Nobody care about your tears. What you crying? Dry your face up." And he was like, and his tears like went back over in his face. Because that what hey man, that's not who my mom was. And it's funny because as we grown, we deal with my mom according to that kind of stuff. You know, it's but that's who she was. She said, because she was, I guess she was under the impression that I can't do both. So her, let me try to do what a man probably would do in these situations.
Because your mama was raising all boys. So
My mom, yes, exactly.
she was raising all boys. So do you think she went so far that way because she didn't have a man to balance her out?
Okay, let me tell you the story. So my mom one time was whooping me with a belt,
Uh-huh.
and she had now statute of limitations got to be gone. So I hope nothing I can say can be used against her or me, because they gonna come and take me as a child from her, and this here we go.
Now, I
So
think you've been gone long enough. I think you did. Right?
so my mom was whooping me with a belt, and I must have been in the kindergarten, the first grade, something like that. And I reached up and grabbed a belt. So
No,
she,
you didn't.
I did, and then she hit me. She looked at me like this. Oh, so you gonna grab the belt? And she hit me with the buckle, right? And
Woo.
the buckle hit me in the eye, and my
Mm.
eye was like this, bro. Listen to me, and I am not exactly. It was this big,
Oh
and
wow.
so my mom says, I say, Mom, the next day my eye was still big. You want me to go to school? Yeah, and I went to school. And boy, them people seen my eye and they asked me what happened. I said my mom whooped me. And they called her up. Now they wasn't taking kids like they are today.
Right.
If you come in there with a black eye, they're gonna take it. I had eye this big.
Oh
So
wow.
so they called my mom, they called us in, called my mom, and was talking to her about what had happened. And she was working her neck, talking to us, working the neck, talking to her. Because you can get away with that back then.
Yeah.
Now you better
Yeah.
go in there on a stack of Bibles, talking about,
Oh
please,
man.
Lord, please, Lord Jesus, please, Lord, please don't take my kids. She wasn't having none of that. But dude, that's how she wasn't apologetic about it.
Yeah.
That's that. Yeah, I did it. What? You want me to do you? I mean, dude, she was that's who she was, man. That and it's fun, it's weird, but I think by my dad and not being able to be there and be the disciplinary or the watcher of the house, that kind of stuff got out of hand sometimes because she's trying to guess,
Hmm.
figure out what do I do in these moments. Well, this is what I think supposed to be done in these moments. When it was never meant for her to be in those situations anyway.
Well, let me ask this question: where was she? Did she have her dad?
No, she didn't.
Mm. So was she even really dealing with a true concept of what a man is when she was trying to raise boys?
She was just trying to figure it out. I remember I said she was guessing. She was guessing on what it was because she had never seen, to my understanding, she had never seen a man and how a man's supposed to do. So at that point, you guessing. And most of the time when people guess, they go way over. Like, no,
Yeah.
no, you're doing a whole lot. We wasn't that you're doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's what it was, man.
In terms of the kids, Anthony said, but nowadays kids want to make those crazy mistakes, even though you told them not to, or gave them examples.
But we did it. We
Yeah.
did it.
I mean, we was definitely testing the
I mean,
waters.
dude, all the time. I mean, we did it all the time, and I think from what my kids, from what I can see, my wife does all of the talking. She does all the talking. I don't talk that much. She does all the talking. So, and when I say something, generally, either you finna get what you asking for, and not it's not as much as me punishing you, but you're gonna get to see why we telling you not to do that. I'm not gonna stay on you about your grades, summer school, and you doing homework till 11 o'clock at night. Or get on you about your grades. I don't have to. If I keep
Yeah.
telling you you need to do this, there are generally consequences that's coming because of that. And I know I'm gonna come out about the time consequences coming. Hey, your mom.
You know for the consequences.
I know when they're coming. I know because most of the time, sure, my wife talks generally a lot to the kids. I think that's what women do. They just and after a while, but I'm telling the truth. And
Right.
after a while, the kids tone them out because mom, that's just mama. To them,
Yeah.
that's just mama. I don't got that much to say to you. I don't got that much to say to you. When I
So
say something to
what's
you,
the
go ahead.
impact when you do say something? What's the impact? Is there an impact? Is it different when you finally come in and so when daddy come in and say something?
Uh, it's different. Yes, it's different because they know daddy don't ever say anything. Now, and I'm imploring listeners, y'all chime in, ask us some questions, give us your comments, let us know how y'all feel about some of the things that are going on with that. Some of the issues that y'all have with dad issues or that you know about or have experienced. Let us know. Let, let us know what you think. But now that's her role. There are roles in marriages. Her role is the one that does all the talking, and my role is I let her talk. I let mama do it, and mom tries to save the kids from me. Because when I come in, I'm not doing that much talking. I'm the dog on the porch that's barking outside until I have to bark on the inside.
Okay, so you bring up a great point because going back to that red table talk that Will and Jada had, they talked about the difference between mother's parenting and father's parenting. They said mothers try to prevent you from suffering. They try to protect you from suffering, but fathers try to teach you strength through suffering. And I think about that and how many people that have come up in single parent homes where it was just a mother, how many people avoid suffering and end up stuck because they don't get the concept that suffering is a part of the process.
You know, you know what I think. Who I think about? I think about To.
Mm-hmm.
I think about it. To had a man, his dad in his life, rather than seeing him across the street. I think if his dad had been in his house, To would have probably. Now he did a great deal for the NFL and tore the record books up. But what he could have did, as far as the way he was handling things, he handled things like a woman would. And I kept wondering why you keep acting like an old woman with all the stuff that you doing. Well, that's because that's all he knew. But that's what he knew. That's
Yeah,
that's no indictment because most men that were raised by women, we have a tendency to do some things like our mom would do it because that was our only example. So I don't want you to think now. I don't want you to think that I'm coming down, but that's real. That's the real. That's the 100. You want me to be 100? That's the 100 right there. And I just think if he had a man, it would have been different for him, man. In his life, it would have
yeah.
been different for him, man.
He had a pretty messed up situation growing up across the street from it. I'm gonna get into this in just a second, but let me just say, listen, y'all, we welcome your comments. You're part of the show too. So comments and everything, we're actually watching. So if you have a comment, you have a question, by all means, drop it in the comments and we'll address it. Definitely, we'll address it. That being said, my nephew, he said, I don't know if you remember Uncle D. That's what they call me, Uncle D. When I thought I was in love with this girl, you told me to stop talking to her, and we got into it. He was all the way in. I tell her, hey boy, no. Then you told me I don't like her because we had the same problems. No one had ever taken the time to show me what love was. So
Wow.
yeah, he had this situation, and I've heard people say this recently. Just because you have the same problems don't mean you're compatible. And that's basically what I was trying to tell him. You are being drawn together because you have this commonality because y'all talk and y'all gone through similar things and all this kind of stuff. And so you think you in love, but love, brother, it's a whole lot more to it than
Yeah.
we got the same problems. If anything, you
Y'all need
probably
to say-
be with somebody who don't have as many problems as you.
that that just means y'all need the same counselor.
You ain't lying, man. You ain't, but how many people have fallen into that trap? And just going back to it without a man there to let you know that ain't what you want. You know what I'm saying? You
I,
need to hold on because this is how it's gonna pan out if you keep going down this road.
I just feel, man, I need to say this. Now I'm not knocking. This has nothing to do with we taking this time out today to let people know the importance of a man in relationships because I think sometimes that gets looked over. Not to say that women can't do some of everything because they women are well more than capable of raising boys. Because my mom did. My mom did.
Hold on. Time out. There's a question I had. That is a question I had.
All right.
Can mom be mom and dad?
Nope. No. 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 No.
Because
Uh-uh.
you have this phenomenon now where
Mm-mm. Can't do it.
Father's Day comes around and moms are getting gifts
Can't
for
do it.
Father's Day. Now they already got some, but you know they got some Mother's Day. But now they get them for Father's Day too. Do you think? Because we have people say, "Well, I had to be mom and dad." Is that even possible?
That's not being possible. What they're actually saying is, I got I gotta I gotta pay for everything because I'm the only one here. That's what they're talking about. because
Okay.
there's no because emotionally whatever they need they can't. No, you can't. No.
Okay. So you just said something. You said I gotta pay for everything. Is being a dad just provide money? Is it just that?
No, 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 no. It's much more than that. It's much more than that. But I think when women say I gotta be the mama and the daddy, I think they just mean that I'm paying for everything by myself most of the time. I think I think women may think that they do enough to be mama and daddy because they don't really know what it means to be daddy. They doing what they think they know to be. Because listen, my mom had no idea what it took to be daddy, but she did a lot of guessing and a lot of hidden, a lot of swinging, a lot of talking crazy to us because I'm telling you, I think she thought that's what daddy was supposed to do.
Real quick, I just thought this was funny. Shalonda Strange said, "Does teaching your son how to be standing up count?" I don't claim to be daddy though. It's probably a little bit more than that, Shalonda, but we get what you're saying. We definitely get what you're saying.
What?
Now for me, it was the opposite. My mother was the kind that I won't say she was too soft on me because I got plenty of whoopings, but I wasn't pushed beyond my talents. I wasn't pushed beyond my talents because I was a smart kid. School wasn't a real big challenge for me. It wasn't. And even I played sports, I played football, the whole nine, but there is something about that dog. You know that dog you
Yeah,
need
well,
really.
yeah. Hmm.
When I found myself to be on my own as an adult, that dog would not get up off the porch, man. I'm like,
Because he
there,
had
I knew I was missing something. I'm like, there is
he,
something that should be kicking in now, man. It's not there. And through the process of time, and God has always provided me with men in my life that came in at the right time to kind of, you know, give me what I needed as far as information and understanding. But I'm like, internally, there should be something there that I should draw from to kick in and say, I'm about to do this. And it was like, man, it was a struggle, man.
say no, you're not gonna do that.
Life was like, oh, really? Really? That's what you
Let's okay. So to your point, to that point. So I had missed the bus for school this morning, and my school was about 3 miles away. And
Oh,
so my mom was coming in from work, and she was getting ready to say, "Hey, mom, before you lay down, can you run me up to the school?" And she looked at me and she said, "Huh, you missed the bus?" She said, "Why you missed the bus?" Not whatever it was. She didn't buy it. So
yeah.
she said, "Oh, okay, all right." And she turned around and walked to her room and shut the door. So about 15 minutes later, I knocked on the door. I said, "Hey, mom, you ready? You ready to take me up there?" She said, "Boy, I'm in the bed. If you start walking now, you'll be up there by such a time." And I walked to school in some square heels. Y'all don't know nothing about square heels, but
Yeah.
but but I remember, dude. I'm telling you, that's one. Now you talk about that. That's one thing we had because my mom was, and I hate to say this, my mom was trying to do for us so to where she was absent a lot of the time. So it was us kind of raising ourselves. And I remember when I was a freshman in high school, man, I was having problems with my grades.
Uh,
And I remember saying to myself either that summer that, hey John, you got to get it together. And I went and I turned my grades around, start working a full-time job while I was going to school. My life turned around because I had to.
yeah.
There wasn't no I didn't have this we don't give people enough credit for being able to adjust, bruh. Either you sink or you swim, brother. And my mom was throwing you in the deep end, bruh. I'm serious, brother. I am serious, man. She
Well,
was, brother.
I can say this for me. The reason why I did push myself, the reason why I did push to achieve was so that I could provide for my mother.
Mm,
And it's like you have the desire, but you don't have the understanding. You don't have the know-how. You know, I didn't know how to make money as a kid. I could have, but I didn't know how to. I mean, just a whole host of things that go on in a poverty situation, which you end up with in a single parent home. My mother was a bus driver and she had 4 kids to take care of. So, needless to say, brother, we went through it. Mm-hmm. But I saw her struggle, and my desire to rescue her from struggling is where my focus came from. From getting good grades to, you know what I'm saying, staying out of trouble, the whole that whole thing. But it wasn't enough. But what happened is my mom died when I was 19. And I'm in college, my sophomore year, just started my sophomore year. But my freshman year, I'm focused, man, laser focused. Yeah, I still kicked it with my friends, but I'm like, nah, bro, I got a mission. I'm on a mission. I want to get my mom. I want to take care of my mom, whole 9. And when she died, when I was 19, I lost all focus. I completely lost focus. But at that point, I realized that there was something I was missing.
So let me ask you this. So why didn't you? Because you had opportunity to have kids in college. I'm sure you had an opportunity to have baby mamas.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the Marines. More than ample opportunity to have baby mamas. Why didn't you have baby mamas that you didn't stay with?
First and foremost, it's called the grace of God.
See, okay.
Not to say that I wasn't doing things that could have brought about a baby, because I was like I said, when I lost focus, bro, I was reckless. I was severely reckless. My mom died in October of 96. I started drinking in November of 96. So, needless to say, there was a correlation between, because up to that point, up to 19, until she died, everything that I did was to get myself in a position to take care of her. So now with her being gone, it's like, what's my reason now?
I'm trying to figure out what the correlation is between, you see all of these people, because for me, I remember the struggle when my mom was with us and my 2 brothers. And I vowed that I never would put a woman through that with my kids and me not being there. I would do no. Listen, and I say this all the time, it don't get that good to me. It don't get that good where I won't get up off you. It don't get that good to me. I don't care what nothing. Listen, I remember the struggle. I remember how we used to have to go from people house to people house staying because we didn't have nowhere to stay. I remember that. So I remember that way more. That's real talk. Huh?
I remember that too. I
Dude.
went through it.
But if people have memories like these, how can they continue the cycle of having kids and babies with no daddies attached to them or no mamas attached to them? I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me? Because listen to me. I'm probably the most flawed person on Facebook. On Facebook, not even this show on Facebook, but that right there, I wasn't gonna do that, bro. I remember that.
You're right. It does create a desire in you, at least on that point, not to make a woman suffer because you won't step up. Mm-hmm. And I had same thing, man. I looked at how my mother suffered, and I said to myself, I never put a woman through that. So even if before I got married, something had happened where I end up with a child, I was going to do everything I need to do to take care of my child. Exactly. For the simple fact, I know what it is
to be without dad.
Yeah, just knowing the other side of it, of what single mothers go through in trying to make things. And it's not necessarily the things they go through, but the child seeing them go through it.
Yeah, that's it right there. That's it right there.
What I'm saying? And without that father there, you don't have that balance. So like you said, man, I took on my mom's attitude a lot about like bills. And I ended up severely in debt because of it. Because my mom, she would say if she got a bill, she'd be like, "Oh well, they can't get what I ain't got." You know what I'm saying? And that's the wrong attitude to have when it comes
Wait, wait,
to
wait, 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 wait. My
bro,
my mama will pay on it.
put some on it.
She'll put something on it.
No, I understand that, man. But when it comes to what Will Smith said, when it comes to teaching a child how to suffer, now there is suffering that you go through just because of where the situation,
Hmm.
but there's a different suffering that you go through in the effort to succeed.
Hmm.
It's better to suffer in the effort to succeed than to suffer just sitting in a situation.
Just suffering to be suffering. Yeah,
Suffering just to be
yeah,
suffering.
yeah.
And for most people, especially people in poverty, you suffer just to be suffering. There is already suffering that's written in the contract of poverty that you just gonna go through automatically. But coming out of that, to get out of poverty, to get out of a bad situation, to go to a better situation, typically on that road, you're gonna run into suffering. But if you're programmed to say suffering, pain, retreat, you'll
Hmm.
never make it.
Hmm.
But if you learn that suffering, this is part of it. Let me go and get through this so I can get to where I need to be. Now it's a whole different flavor that you're dealing with.
I think one of the things we don't want to make you guys think that we're saying that we're giving an equal amount of importance to mothers and fathers. Make sure I say that because mom's role is just as important as daddy's role. But I think what we're trying to say is how we're just trying to express how important the daddy's role is because most of the time dad is not there. We see the statistics, and dad is not there. And when it's funny because when I first had my daughter, I remember being so elated that I actually got a chance, that I was actually bringing something in this world, that I had the opportunity to shape, form, and mold and make her into what I thought anyway, and kind of guide her in the direction that I wanted her to go in, which that was bananas crazy because she's doing the opposite. But I remember I was getting ready to I was doing comedy at the time, and I was had some heat generated on me, and I was supposed to go on tour for 6 months. And I remember deciding not to go because I didn't want to miss time being with my daughter. I didn't want my daughter to get used to me being gone so much that she got used to her dad not being there. Cause I didn't never want her to go through and not only that, I didn't want to not be there to protect her if she needed me to be. I didn't want my wife to be trying to find someone for her, somewhere to keep her. I didn't want none of that to come up. I wanted to make sure I was the dog on the porch barking. And so I sacrificed some things to make sure that I was in my house. And I do that if I do too much, my sons will say, "Hey, Dad, well, you know you've been doing a lot. You've been gone every weekend. You going out. You was in over here. You was over in Oklahoma last thing. You was in Kansas. You doing all this stuff. You doing comedy, but we need you here." And they old enough now to where they'll tell me, and I'll pull back some because man, it means too much. It means too much to me. I would I think you get if you just being there, to me, is the most important thing. Whether I fail or not, I'll learn. I'm willing to learn how to be a better father every day. But you can only learn if you're there. It's difficult trying to be the world greatest father if you're not at home. It's difficult. And what does that mean anyway? But to me, it means being there. That's
Right?
that.
So what was your greatest fear in becoming a father?
That I had to that I was able to shape and mold somebody.
That was your responsibility to save him most. That was your greatest fear.
Dude, it's funny because it was the greatest feeling that I was so happy about it, but then at the same time it worries you so much. Like if I failed at this, if I had any idea how important school was, how it was gonna set the tone for some things my daughter would do. Dude, life would have been so much different for me. It would have been so different because
Mm.
my daughter adapted some of the study habits I used to have. You know, it's like you can only tell them so much, but they do what you do. You know, they do, and I, it was like again, it was my greatest and my worst thing at the same time, man. What about for me?
Well, I can say now. Here's the thing. Now, because I have nieces and nephews, and I played a pivotal role in their life, them growing up. Um, my nephew Wesley, he actually lived with me for a time. But as far as from the ground up, that shaping and molding, I haven't had the opportunity yet. It's coming.
Yeah.
I know it's coming. Haven't had the opportunity yet. But I'm glad I was able to get to a place where I understand a lot more.
Mm.
To when I go into that, I can be the type of father that does it the right way. I'm not shaping and molding based on my concepts of who they should be. I know I need to figure out who they are and then give them the tools to become that to the best of their abilities. Uh, I heard somebody say that parenting is really teaching your kids to be the best version of what you think an adult should be. But they say that should come from you have to be their example. Kids do what you do, not what you say. So in me understanding that, now I understand the weight, the gravity, the severity of me getting it right. That's from even if I fail, how to fail in a way that it teaches my child how to come back from a failure. You know what I'm saying? Just the whole nine. So I think that's been a blessing for me. It's I understand enough now to now I can raise a kid from the from birth, and I have the right mindset. I have enough information to do it in a way that I wish it had been done for me.
I'm about at the point to where I want kids about 22, 23, where they out there on their own and they can call me and I can look at that call ID and be like, "No, we not home today, y'all. I call you back tomorrow." I mean,
Yeah.
because at that point I've taught them all I can teach them, and now
Uh-huh.
they got now they have to fly. And as difficult as it is sometimes for us to get them out the nest so they can fly, that's the best thing for them. They'll fly eventually. They'll fly like we want them to. We just gotta trust what we put in them to know that they'll fly.
So both of us grew up in homes without fathers being there in the home.
Yeah.
So speaking from the child standpoint, in the eyes of the child, how can men recover from the failure of being absent?
How can so you saying I got a child, I haven't been in his life for how long? His whole life or period? I hadn't been there the whole time.
So maybe it's a thing of phases. I mean, when you actually come in, how much impact can you expect to have?
You just would hope that you are able to get back in the child's life before before he turns into something great. Because our hope is that our kids will all become something great, and most of them do. But when I say great, like Shaq great, it's
Uh-huh.
different. It's the difference between Shaq great and your daughter getting a job somewhere.
Yeah.
It's different. It's a little bit different. Not much though. Not much, but it's a little bit different than in our daughter achieving sensible goals than your son or daughter blowing up. And everybody talk being Beyonce,
Yeah.
be somebody like that. Because once they do that, brother, you need to have some more kids.
And
Because
let me say this. If your desire is for your child to be that or get to that level, your first greatest thing you can do is be there. That's the greatest thing you can
yeah,
do is be there.
Yeah.
Because I read off statistics that talked about when the father is absent, they're more likely to end up pregnant. They're more likely to end up in poverty. They're more likely to get caught up in things they shouldn't get caught up in.
You know, one of the things that a father's supposed to do that's unspoken with his daughter. Of this is my daughter's heart, and I'm supposed to keep this with me until I give it to her husband.
Mm.
And so I gotta keep knuckleheads and smooth talkers and light skins with pretty hair. I gotta keep them away from this thing right here. Because if
Yeah.
they get this, my daughter not listening to me or nobody else if they get this. So as a daddy, I gotta protect this and make sure don't nobody get this until she gets married.
Man, I can remember uh, I can remember going to my dad. My mom had passed, and I tell people my ice cream story. So when I was growing up, I just loved ice cream. My mom used to always try to make sure she kept some ice cream, at least a half gallon of ice cream in the refrigerator for me. For me, I didn't care about nobody else. It wasn't for the house; it was for me.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I thought I just loved ice cream. But when I got older, I was able to actually spend time around my father. And I went in his kitchen one time in his deep freezer, and there was a deep freezer full of ice cream.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking I just love ice cream, but no, I realized at that point I got this thing for ice cream from somewhere. So immediately it popped in my mind, what else did I pick up?
Mm-hmm.
So I actually went to my dad and told him, I say, hey man, we need to talk. I need to know you. Because there's some things about me that I need to understand. So I need to know who you are. Because if something so simple as ice cream, if
Yeah.
I pick that up, what else did I pick up? And especially for the kid who has an absent father. Now, my dad was around, but he wasn't in the house. I'm going to say it that way. But I didn't pick up on who I was, you know, to where I was aware of it because I didn't grow up in the house with him. So I said, man, I need to know who you are because I need to know who I am.
And it ain't really fair for women to have these babies and the men ain't there because through children there is some suffering that parents go through with kids. And it's only right that both of y'all there to take on the suffering.
Right.
Some of those kids are gonna do just what your parents told you not to do, and you robbing them of laughing at you saying, "Ha ha ha! I told you was gonna get that back." Y'all robbing them of that.
Right.
My little girl cut off her eyebrows, and I called my mom and told her, and she started laughing, and I couldn't remember why. Well, me and my brother had cut off our eyelashes.
Oh no.
And yeah, so my mom couldn't find out what was wrong with us, and she kept looking at her like this.
Should have blew some sand at you.
And she was thinking like, what is wrong? What something is missing. I don't know what it is. But we were trying to play barbershop and we didn't have no hair, so we cut off our eyelashes. Again, we got too much time on our hand. So my daughter cut her eyebrows off. She called me and she was she was on the floor laughing. Because there are some things that you have been giving your parents that your kids are going to help you get that back. And
Yeah.
you daddies, we need to be there so we can get back what we got coming. So we can look at our kids and say, boy, I remember I am dude, it's funny, but I am so serious about that, man, because you got some stuff coming back to you.
So at what age, about what age do you think it's too late for daddy to come back in and be like, do what I say type dad?
Oh man. Man. I think you can't put an age on it.
Okay.
I think it just depends on what that boy has been enduring and what he's going through and what he's doing. I was working a full-time job in the ninth grade. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'm working a full-time job, helping out with bills, buying clothes, you can't really come in and say, "Hey, do what I say do." I got a full-time job. my circumstances changed to where I'm not dependent on you anymore. And once I'm not dependent on you anymore, or I have moved on, I think it stops there. I could again, that's just me personally. It's just hard for you to tell me what to do, and I'm going to work every day. I'm going to work. I'm providing for myself every day, and you not living with me. And it's hard, dude. The extent of being a father is you living in my house. You got to do what I tell you to do. If
Mm,
that's gone, if that's gone, there goes that's my umbrella. You don't
yeah.
fall up under the umbrella network that I have, and if you don't fall into that, why would my son barely do what I tell him to do under my umbrella? You think he gonna get out from under my umbrella and me tell him what to do? He don't hardly listen now.
Yeah.
Again, that's what I think. I think whenever they move on, whatever age that is, without you and providing for themselves and doing things, I think you're done. I think that's it. I think you can be. Y'all can. I'm not saying you can't come into their life, but as far as you do what I say, brother, you that's done.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, man, for a lot of people at that point, you can just be an advisor.
Yeah, exactly. And
After
that's
they,
all they need. That's all they need, D.
you can
You
be
know,
an advisor.
because when you get older, all you really need is somebody at that point, somebody you can call and say, "Hey, man, I'm scratched. I got some bumps down here I got some pus
Oh,
coming out down here." You
ah,
know what I mean? That's all you need. You just need somebody to tell you what it is. Oh, bro, go get these pills and knock that right out of it. Cause I don't need nothing else from you. I don't need nothing else from you. I don't
right,
need nothing else.
right.
I don't need nothing else.
But the crazy thing, man, even in going through that, you still feel this. I want him.
You
I
do?
wish he was here. I wish he would be here.
Absolutely do. You do. I thought it until the day my daddy died. I wanted that from my dad and I was expecting him to give it to me. I was like a kid. Oh, yo, who he gonna be my daddy? He gonna be my daddy? Well, I just basically wanted somebody to be there that I could call and talk to. I didn't
Mm,
want. I don't. You don't have to. I don't want lunch money or nothing. I don't want. I'm 33 now. I'm giving out lunch money, but
right,
I just
right.
want some. I just wanted somebody to be there that I can talk to. I just wanted somebody I can call and say, "Hey, man, I'm having a tough time," and we talk about it. The conversation that we should have had when I was growing up. Perhaps we can have them now.
Yeah,
Because I'm in a different state. I'm in a different mindset. I understand about divorce and why marriages can't make it. I get it now. So let's talk about it.
yeah.
I wanted that until he died, and I never got it. So
So, needless to say, there is way more to be said from a father being present than the financial aspect.
absolutely, I
So,
think it's too easy. That's too easy.
yeah, that's way too easy. That's way too easy. And I'll put this out for men. Um, you making a baby is just a function of being a male. It's a natural function of being a male, but actually being a man to step up and accept the challenge, accept the duty and the responsibility of carrying the home, the duty and responsibility of being the standard that your children look to keep them from falling for anything. To do that requires way more than dropping your pants. Requires way more than that. So if you are suffering from lack of understanding when it comes to what do I do, there are guys who have stepped up. There are guys who answered the call. Talk to them. See what it's about. There are guys who they're stepping up to raise their kids now. I mean, guys need to talk more. We need to talk more about these things. Not suffering in silence. We need to talk about what it is to deal with. If my child is not in the home with me, how do I deal with a woman and there's animosity between us? And I still want to father my child. How do I do that? So there's a lot to be said about just this whole thing. What do
I,
you say?
man, I'm saying as men, we need to step up. As somebody like myself, man, I need to be better about reaching out to other men. Men, we need to talk more. We need to communicate. We need to get off our islands. We need to start being better fathers. We need to start being because we got something that's swinging. We need to stop being out here making these babies and not being fathers to these kids because they need you.
Yeah,
Men, your kids need you.
yeah.
I don't care what that woman telling you about child support or none. Those kids need you.
Despite what society is telling you that
Yes,
you're not necessary, the kids need you.
they need you. They
The
need you, man.
statistics show your presence is important.
And don't
Our
let
presence is important.
and don't let nobody tell you no different, man. So
So yeah. Well, man, that is the hour, brother.
it's heavy, brother. It's got me. It's heavy. This heavy, brother. Whew, well, cause you, it's heavy, man. Cause you got me going. You got me in my head thinking. Cause, bro, this heavy, man. I mean,
It's a lot to think about, man. It's a lot to think about. But that's what we're here for. We're here to talk about it, man. Talk
right.
Mondays, talking about the issues, and this is a heavy one. So uh, I know a lot of people were listening, but we always welcome the comments. We always welcome the questions. So be sure whenever you tune in, you got a comment, you got a question, share it with us. We're listening. So just make sure, holler at your boys.
Yeah, man. I mean, this was, I crack a lot of jokes and stuff. I'm a funny guy, but the fathers ain't no that fathers not being in the home. They no laughing matter, man. So
No.
again, this another time. We'll be back next week doing it again.
Next Monday, we'll be
Yes,
back.
yes.
Love y'all.
Yes.
We appreciate y'all. Y'all
Y'all
be
be
blessed.
blessed.